I measure time with the rising sun, the ebb and flow of the river's tides, the call of migrating birds. I've stood a silent watch of the Delaware River since time immemorial, had many names, and served many different purposes. Today, you call me Petty's Island.
There is an island in the Delaware River known as Petty's Island, a nearly 500-acre nature preserve in Pennsauken, New Jersey. But this wasn't always promised.
Throughout time, humanity has shaped me to fit their needs. But now I'm being shaped to restore balance with our natural world. This is my story, Petty's Island, from nature to industry and back.
$60 million years ago, the spot where Petty's Island now sits was under the ocean. But our world is in constant change. The sea lowered and sediment formed a place for life to take hold. People migrated here around 11,000 years ago, and 8,000 years later came the Lenape Native Americans. The Lenape came to the Delaware River Valley for its life-sustaining resources, building settlements along the river's many tributaries. It is unknown what the Lenape called Petty's Island, but an early map suggests it may have been named Aquiconosca. The Lenape hunted, fished, and foraged along Petty's Island. Freshwater mussels, abundant then, were food for the Lenape. These creatures filter water and are threatened in the Delaware River today. The Lenape were among the first people to adapt the island's habitat, setting fire to its woodlands and grasslands to hunt game.
I still recall the flicker of bonfires at Shakamakson, the Lenape meeting place opposite me in what is today called Pennsylvania. There was a time when I thought this way of life would never change.
In the 1600s, people with different demands for resources arrived. First came Dutch explorers and traders, then Swedish traders and settlers, and by 1665, the entire Delaware River Valley was controlled by the English crown. One English colonist, a young Quaker woman named Elizabeth Kinsey, met with local Lenape leaders. Residing at the old Lenape meeting place, Shakamakson, her eyes were on the great island opposite her home. The Lenape negotiated shared use of their lands to settlers like Kinsey for a down payment and annual gifts of goods. With Kinsey, the Lenape kept their hunting and fishing rights on the island and agreed not to harm her hogs or burn her hay. Witness to the deed was surveyor Thomas Fairman, who Kinsey married in 1680. Fairman helped William Penn's cousin select the site for the city of Philadelphia in 1681. Tradition says Penn made a treaty with the Lenape at the Fairman-Shakamakson property.
With her marriage, Elizabeth Kinsey became Elizabeth Fairman, and I became Fairman's Island.
In 1732, a Philadelphia merchant purchased the island. But John Petty contributed more than just his name to the island's history. Like the Lenape before, Petty adapted the landscape to suit his 18th century needs.
The axes pounded at my forests. 70 acres fell for orchards and agriculture. My ground was dug and heaved to form mounds called meadow banks.
Between 1759 and 1797, Joseph Cooper bought several island parcels and, with others, expanded the island's meadowbanks, likely through slave labor. During these times, slaves were unloaded and sold at Cooper's Ferry in what is now Camden. Evidence suggests slaves may have landed at Petty's Island too.
As slaves toiled along the Delaware River, delegates to the American colonies were shouting for freedom from Great Britain. Their Declaration of Independence states, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal." During the War for American Independence, Congress adopted a familiar sight from my treetops as a symbol of national strength. In 1783, America gained its independence. Windmill Island to my south became part of Pennsylvania, and I, Petty's Island, was officially designated part of New Jersey.
Every spring, shad swim up the Delaware to spawn, and in the 18th century, they became the focus of an early industry. Between 1790 and 1853, the Cooper family operated a fishery along the entire New Jersey Channel. Fishing wasn't the only industry to use the island's waterfront. In the 1840s, shipbuilding and ship repair and supply companies moved onto the western shore. Philadelphia's Cramps shipyard expanded onto the island in 1853.
Humanity had found a new use for me. Once again, my landscape was adapted. My shores became studded with piers, dug up for wharves and industry. Rylot's shipyard cut a notch still visible on my northwest end. And my name was changed again, only to be forgotten by time.
Many ships found beginnings here, like the clipper Manitou built by Cramps Shipyard, and the giant Count de Lesseps, built by Doughty and Capella. Designed and used for digging the French Panama Canal, this ship was built for dredging, a process that digs up the bottom of waterways to deepen them for ships. While some ships had beginnings here, a famous warship from the American Revolution met its end at Petty's Island. The Alliance survived the war, but was later run aground here. There is evidence that its remains may be buried in the New Jersey back channel. Where it may be, and if it has survived to modern times, is unknown. While shipbuilders found an ideal space to expand, city dwellers came to Petty's Island to escape urban life. And at times to escape the city's rules. 18th century pistol duels and lotteries gave way to 19th century prize fights. Port officials came to see Windmill and Petty's Islands as evils to shipping. Army engineers proposed to dredge away the southwest half of Petty's Island.
My busy shipyards were condemned. Their buildings were demolished. Smith and Windmill Islands to my south were removed. And 150 of my acres were dredged from existence.
After the dredging, Petty's Island became a preferred dumping ground for dredged spoils. This raised the elevation of large sections of the island and extended the eastern shoreline into the New Jersey back channel. The spoils added roughly the same acreage that was lost to dredging on the southwest. Dredging may have also destroyed the remains of the Alliance.
Just as the sun rises and sets, there are cycles of change here at Petty's Island. How would humanity transform me next?
In 1916, the Crew-Levick Oil Company bought Petty's Island, ushering in a new tide of industry. Cramp's shipyard returned, and the Philadelphia Electric Company stockpiled coal here. The United States entered the First World War on April 6, 1917, sending Petty's Island industries into overdrive. Cramps built 1/4 of the tonnage of American ships used in World War I, and city services companies like Crew-Levick on Petty's Island supplied half the oil used by the Allies in the final year of the war. Peace lessened the need for new warships, but increased the demand for oil. While Cramps was closing its shipyards in 1927, Crew-Levick was expanding its refinery and oil storage facilities on Petty's Island.
By the 1930s, I was one of the largest freshwater oil ports in the United States.
In 1941, the United States entered World War II. Cramp's shipyard reopened, building a large crane on the island's western shore. Once again, the Eagle inspired national strength through its majesty. But beneath that majesty was a bird on the verge of extinction. Uncontrolled pollution contributed to a decline in the bald eagle population. Fearing the loss of the nation's bird, Congress passed the 1940 Bald and Golden Eagle Protection Act.
At the end of World War II, Philadelphia's Cramp's shipyard closed, leaving my waterfront for the final time.
By planes kills adult insects on the wing. The physical properties of DDT are such that it may be dispersed in emulsion.
And drive out with Zoom. Zoom, 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 zoom. City service is CITGO now.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Roger, Tranquility. We copy you on the ground.
In 2002, CITGO closed my oil terminal. What man abandoned, nature began to reclaim. But for how long? Whenever industry left me, change would follow in its wake.
CITGO considered developing Petty's Island with housing. But then, something unexpected happened. After years of decline, the American bald eagle returned. The first recorded pair to nest in Camden County had chosen Petty's Island as home. CITGO planned to donate the island to New Jersey as a 21st century nature preserve. Pennsauken Township had other plans. Housing, a golf course, a hotel. Petty's Island would be transformed as part of a huge waterfront project headed by the redevelopment company, Cherokee Partners. If CITGO wouldn't sell, Pennsauken would seize the island using eminent domain.
CITGO Oil has wanted to donate the island as a preserve. Two members of the McGreevey administration, who were on the trust panel, vetoed the island donation. Another issue that still needs to be resolved in this case, a civil suit against a wildlife expert and a developer who are facing charges in the death of an eagle chick on Petty's Island.
Six environmental groups marked Earth Week today by blasting the Corzine administration for failing to accept the donation of Petty's Island in the Delaware River as a free state park.
For 4 years, it appeared that Cherokee would succeed. Until
Cherokee Partners announced it was pulling out of a redevelopment project on the Pennsauken waterfront that once included housing, a hotel, and a golf course on the 400-acre island.
The saga over the future of Petty's Island in the Delaware River may finally be coming to an end.
At a meeting in Trenton, the New Jersey Natural Lands Trust voted unanimously to accept CITGO Oil's donation of Petty's Island. CITGO has also agreed to create a $2 million stewardship fund for the Natural Lands Trust to manage the island and $1 million to build a cultural and education center on the tract.
my history shows that humanity can take from nature and give back. Explore my natural splendor. Commit to preservation. Listen for the voices of those who trod my shores long ago. And become a part of my living history.